Okay, I'll be the first to admit, Marvel's Thunderbolts looks really, really good, but they do need to take a massive chill pill. So if you've seen reviews online, you will know that people are generally positive about this movie. It seems like there's a lot of hype. It seems like it's going to be really quality, which is great. And I hope it lives up to that hype. But if you're like me, you are still skeptical because Marvel has not been pushing out good movies recently. And I do understand that sentiment. And even if Thunderbolts does well in the box office, I think Marvel still needs to desperately slow down. In fact, it might be time that Marvel takes a break, or a sabbatical, if you will, if they're going to survive the next decade. I'm Ethan Wood, and welcome back to Cut the Crap, where we cut the Hollywood crap and talk about the hard stuff. Marvel's Thunderbolts is coming out very soon, and I am very hyped for it. I love Marvel, huge fan. I have not been super happy with all of the TV shows and movies they've been pushing out recently, but this one looks promising, and I am so excited for it. So let's talk about that, but let's also talk about the trajectory of Marvel as a whole. So first off, I need to give credit where it's due. Thunderbolts combined some of the franchise's most loved characters that Marvel has left into one movie. Great marketing strategy, such a good marketing strategy. We have characters like Bucky Barnes, Yelena Belova, and Red Guardian, fan favorites. Personally, I really love Bucky, and here's a little bit of trivia, guys. How many movies has Bucky Barnes been in since the beginning of the Marvel franchise? Is it A, 7, B, 9, C, 11, or a D, 12? And if you're thinking, how many has he been in? Because I didn't think it was going to be that high, that is fair. If you said 9B, then you are correct. He's been in 9 movies. That is insane. So not only that, but also the trailer looks very serious, and I'm okay with that. Personally, I really loved the beginning of the MCU, mainly Thor and Captain America and Iron Man. And yes, there were bouts of humor, and that's great. I think that movies need that. So I'm actually super hyped that this movie looks a little more serious, at least in the trailer. And not only that, and I found this kind of funny, the trailer description in the YouTube description says, "In 2 days, one last shot at redemption." Now, I think this is a play on words because one, it's probably the theme of the movie, but also two, Marvel's been struggling the past couple of years, and them saying one last shot at redemption, I think that's exactly what this movie is. This movie is their last shot to connect with their current audience and regain their trust. Tell them that, yes, we can actually produce movies that you're going to enjoy and love. And I hope that that's what happens because judging from the comment section of that video, fans are relieved and just super excited for what is to come.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I have to be brutally honest with you guys. We won. We won!
What would you give Thunderbolts out of 5 stars?
I will go 3.5.
Oh, that's exactly what I gave it.
Yeah.
3.5 stars.
I'll go 3.5. There was a lot of positives to come out of this movie.
A lot of positive. I think it was a solid MCU movie. I think it's a step in the right direction.
For sure.
I think if, since we got Daredevil Born Again, Thunderbolts, and if Fantastic Four is also another solid installment, then we're back.
Yeah.
I think
we're back, baby.
But here's the thing. One movie is not going to do it. If Thunderbolts is great, they still have to maintain that greatness over time because Marvel's deeper problem is not going to be solved with just this movie. Marvel has been pushing out quantity over quality for years, and fans are done with it. You can see that in all the comment sections. You can see that on Rotten Tomatoes. You see that just talking with other fans. So many people I know aren't watching this franchise anymore. I honestly dropped off watching it because I just couldn't handle the quality of content. Some of it was so cringy and so bad I just couldn't handle it anymore. I think it's time for a big change if Marvel wants to succeed long term. Because at some point, Marvel stopped making cinema and instead they're just making content. And I've been receiving a lot of comments about this recently on my YouTube channel, and I do like to distinguish that there is a line. I do think there is a difference between actual art and just making money. And that is what Marvel's been trying to do. And I do not think that someone who is just trying to make money, that they just produce things in order to make money, I don't think that's art, because I think art encompasses a little bit more. It encompasses our imagination, our passions, our experiences. And I think Marvel does encompass the experiences, but they don't have the other two. And I hope that this movie kind of almost reignites the passion that the creators have towards the comics. I hope that this is kind of the reconciliation movie. We will see. But if you don't agree with what I am saying, then just think of all the worst movies that Marvel has produced recently. Like The Marvels, got really bad reviews. Eternals, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Do I need to go on? There are many, many examples of this, and you guys know what I'm talking about. And the one thing that they have in common is that they all have terrible stories. That is the main theme that keeps coming back. So a little bit more trivia for you guys. What is the lowest ranked Marvel movie to date? And I'm only talking about the movies, not the TV shows. I will tell you that later as well. But is it A, Quantumanium, B, The Marvels, C, Eternals, or D, Brave New World? I will tell you guys at the end of the episode, so you'll just have to watch and wait and find out. I will also tell you guys the answer to the TV show one as well. So I know this sounds drastic, but I think Marvel needs to take a sabbatical, which is just a fancy term for a purposeful break, if that makes sense. Marvel needs to take a break. And this is for many, many reasons. I have some research and some case studies I can bring up as well. But I think one, they just need to build the hype back up. People are kind of exhausted watching Marvel movies that keep getting pushed out over and over and over again, especially when they're not super unique from the other one and nothing's like super crazy about them. Because honestly, the audiences aren't being given the opportunity to miss Marvel again. Marvel just keeps pumping them out year after year. TV shows are coming out like crazy. And quite frankly, I think it'll have to happen at some point. I think Marvel will have to take a break at some point because audiences are just getting burnt out. You can't sustain this model forever. And I think this TikTok sums it up very nicely. So give this a listen to.
Would you rather see Marvel do a full-blown reboot or soft reboot after Secret Wars? I think you look at where they're at, and part of the problem is the universe is too big. And so it can't sustain the weight of this. The thing that was fun, a shared universe with connected storylines, feels like homework now. And it's so old that a chunk of the primary audience that you need to win over weren't born when it started. See you now is 17 years old. You've burned through a bunch of great storylines, you've burned through a bunch of great characters, and you didn't have access to certain characters at a certain point in time. So if you do a hard reboot, it solves a lot of problems, but it also creates a lot of problems.
If you don't think that this is the solution to Marvel's problems, then let's take a case study, namely Hercule Poirot, the detective from Agatha Christie's mystery novels. Now, if you don't know, back in the 1970s, Poirot mysteries like Murder on the Oriental Express and Death on the Nile crushed it in the box offices. But eventually the mystery movies just lost their steam and audiences shifted from mysteries to more action-packed movies like Die Hard and Silence of the Lambs. Now, Poirot faded away for a whole 2 decades, but then recently, and you guys probably know this, Knives Out came out in 2019. Shook the whole mystery industry. People were like, oh, audiences can handle it now. And suddenly, we're making more mystery movies. So then, creators decided that after a break, they were going to try to reignite these movies and reboot them. And they were actually doing really well. Movies like Death on the Nile and The Haunting in Venice, to be specific. Taking a break didn't kill the franchise. In fact, it actually saved it. And I think this is something that Marvel needs to do. Because it's going to give a chance for, one, the fans to take a break and breathe a little bit and come back refreshed for new reboots and new ideas. But also the audience changed from 1970 until now, in the case of the Hercule series. So now it had time to adapt to the new time so it was more relatable. And that's another point that I want to make as well. Because this is just something I've kind of noticed with Marvel's marketing, what they try to do. And I don't have an answer to this, so don't take me as someone who's trying to be a thought leader in this, but I do want to merely make an observation. Every movie that Marvel has produced recently, in Phase 4 and beyond, is supposed to relate to a certain demographic of people. It's very interesting. For example, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is supposed to relate to Black communities, The Rings of Power was supposed to relate to Chinese Americans, and She-Hulk was supposed to relate to women in the workplace. However, what Marvel is doing is really risky. Because let's say you take one movie, and it hits really well with one target demographic and not so well with another one. But then you make another movie and it hits really well with this demographic and not so well with this demographic. And then you got this weird tension where you're trying to make movies that target the entire audience, but you're never going to satisfy everyone, and maybe you're trying to spread your net too wide, Marvel. I'm not really sure. It's just an interesting observation, and either Marvel wants this or they're trying to spread the net too wide. And maybe this is a sign that Marvel needs to pull the reins back, take an 1,000-foot approach to their mission statement and figure out, okay, what are we going to do with our stories? Because it might be time to reassess. And I think Marvel knows they have a problem. Even the director of Thunderbolts recognizes in an article that I read that they tried to make Thunderbolts fresh. They're trying to reboot to a certain degree, and even new viewers could jump into this one without having to watch the other movies as well. Because you don't need to do your homework in order to enjoy the Marvel movies. Currently you do, because there's so many characters in this universe. It's really hard to keep track. Probably another reason there needs to be a reboot for sure. And either this is a genius move, or it's a red flag that Marvel is quietly rebooting the franchise. And I'm curious what you guys think about this. Do you want to reboot? Do you not? Do you think that Marvel is eventually going to reboot? Do you think that they need to stop? Do you think they need to keep going? I am curious. Let me know down in the comment section. But in all, I want Thunderbolts to succeed. I think you do too. I want to see this franchise be redeemed. But unless they're willing to slow down, reassess, reconnect with their real, authentic storytelling, then no amount of one last shot at redemption is going to save the franchise. I really do want to redeem this franchise, but I think it needs to take a break. So again, what do you guys think? Should Marvels take a break, or should they just keep going as is? Drop your thoughts down below. I'd really love to read those. If you guys believe that Hollywood can be redeemed and that these conversations can be the means of doing so, please like, subscribe, and share this content. I really do appreciate it. If you want to know what the answer to the trivia question was earlier, it was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium with a 46% on the critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is really tough. But the TV show one was She-Hulk. I think most people could have seen that one coming. I think it had around a 30% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. You'll have to look that up to get the exact number, but it was low 30s for sure. But until next time, stay thoughtful, and I will see you in the next